want to thank you for joining us here on Polk Place. I'm Brian Lacey, and we want to talk Polk County History Center. And you know, if we're talking Polk County History Center, there can be only one Jamie Jamison.
Yay!
That was my Highlander industry
Can only be one.
There can only be one.
I'm going to knock you out of your chair here in a minute and take over the host responsibilities. Welcome to Polk Place. My guest today is Brian Lacey.
Hey, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you want to know what's going on at the History Center?
Hub. No. I do. What have you been doing this summer, Brian?
Well, you know, we're going to talk July. So
yeah.
Anyway, tell me what's going on in July. You're killing me, Small. It's killing me.
So, yeah, it's hot out there.
Ow.
And so the good news is that our construction team that has been working on all of the preservation work, they are wrapping up. In fact, this is breaking news. As I was leaving the building today, they were taking the last of the scaffolding down.
It's gone?
It's coming down today. And at the pace they were going, I'm assuming it'll be down by lunchtime today.
1980s top 40 music. Chilliwack, gone, 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 been gone so long.
I'll take your word for it.
Somebody's going to be scratching their head going, wow, why did you have to put that song in my head?
I'm a historian, but even that's ancient history for me. No, I'm joking. So we're really excited because that means now we get to start the cleanup, which most people don't go, oh, I'm excited to clean, but we are excited to clean. So we're going to give the History Center a nice head-to-toe cleaning, inside and outside. So you'll see we're going to have some pressure washing done as well, too. And we are going to roll back into being open to the public right on July the 15th.
Wow.
Yeah. So we might have some rooms that are still being rebuilt. So there might be a gallery or two that's closed, but we'll be open. Air conditioning's pumping. I'm excited because we've had a lot of families stop by to go play in the children's room, and I have missed them so much and the sounds of people having fun at the History Center. So we're looking forward to it.
Little kids, what's that? What's that?
What's that? Yep. And or about December, I had the great idea of putting a little guitar in there.
Yeah.
So if you come by, there's little musical performances throughout the day.
Whether they can play or not, man.
Yeah, whether they can play or not. Sometimes I go in and look at that guitar and it has seen some things, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't put it back.
Poor guitar's like, please, no young Pete Townsends.
While my guitar gently weeps in the cabin. No, it's absolutely adorable to see them interact with, and they don't know it. They're interacting with Polk County's history, whether it's arts, music, farming, culture. They're playing in the kids' room, but when they're playing, they're reenacting those things that define our culture, and it is just so fun to see, and I miss them so much.
That is very cool. Yeah. So what else we got going on in July?
Well, of course, we have Bartholomew leading the architectural tour on July the 19th. And one of the things that is really cool about the architectural tour this month is if anybody has been driving through Bartow, down Main Street, you probably have noticed that one of our bank of windows has been boarded up. And what ended up happening is when they started the restoration process, we started looking at that window and going, it did not match its mate. So there's two banks of windows on the sides of the doors. And this bank of window had wooden framed windows, and this one had metal, which is not copacetic for the time period that they would have been built. So they had to pull the metal window out, which had been probably replaced, best guess, 1920s, and totally rebuild the opening to fit in a wood frame window that is supposed to be there.
Now, with that being a historic building, was that part of the deal that had to be built in the?
Yep. So the preservation process, the letter of the contract was that the building had to be restored to its historic standing, which, 1926 is still pretty historic, but it wasn't the original window. And it's funny how many people I've talked to for 100 years, have walked down that street and nobody's ever really gone, wait a minute.
What? This doesn't belong.
Yep. So
nobody ever gave it to Scooby-Doo.
No,
huh?
No.
What?
So if you are walking down Main Street during the first week of July, you'll probably see they're still working on the window because it had to be custom fabricated. Yeah. So there was no existing frame. So the company that's doing our restoration process has set up like a little shop out there, and they're building it piece by piece to make it fit back in. And so Bart was able to talk with the contractors, and they provided some information to him about, when they thought it was switched out, how they could tell. It was really interesting. They could tell because, well, no, I'm not going to ruin Bart's tour. It's really interesting.
So, does that window become part of the museum?
So the historic or the metal windows, I don't know. I'd have to ask. They're still sitting there right now, so I'm guessing, yeah, they probably become ours. And in addition to that, those windows were operated through weight pulley systems when you wanted to open them. They've left a couple of those out for us to put on display as well too, and show people how the mechanisms used to work.
So what happens with all those metal ones? I mean,
so the metal ones that are on the east wing, which if you're in downtown Bartow, that's on Central Avenue by Hacienda, the Mexican restaurant. Those are original to 1926. So remember, that portion of the building was added on.
Yeah.
So those ones get to stay. All of those metal windows there stay. They scraped them, they've polished them and painted them back up. So those ones all get to stay.
I'm just like, if you got an extra one, you ever see the people that, like, if there's a bathroom that doesn't have a window and it's dark in there, people put a bathroom and then put a painting behind it? Have you ever? And they countersink the window, so it really looks like a window, and you just see the painting. I've always thought it would be cool if you could take one of those and put a digital billboard behind it, to where, you just put something on a loop and change it out. But anyways, I digress.
You did, but it's okay. And yeah, we're really excited, and this will be Bart's first architectural tour since the project has been done.
Yeah?
Yep.
Whew, still pretty heated, though.
It is. It's mostly, so to your concerns, dear sir, it's mostly indoors. So it is mostly an indoor tour. There's a little bit outside.
But you have to get from your car.
This is true. This is true. If you call me, I'll run out with an umbrella and I'll cover you up from the sun. I mean, it has been brutal.
Stay hydrated, folks.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, following that, on July the 26th, is our genealogy speaker series with Miss Shannon Graham. And we got to get her back on.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say at the end of this question, hey, make sure we book her. So now that we know that we're back open.
Her public demands.
Exactly.
Yeah. There is a public outcry that she has.
She got a fan club, man. Probably you and me.
You and me, maybe my dad and her parents. But no, she is doing fantastic with the genealogy speaker series this year. And next month, or this coming month, is July. And July the 4th, we celebrate Independence Day, and it gets people talking a lot about the Revolution and all of the different military conflicts that the U.S. has been involved in. And so her speaker for July is going to focus on military records. You got a few of those?
I got military albums.
Military albums. Maybe that could be a whole class. Brian Lacey and his military albums. This would be like Captain's Log, star date. But no, yours probably aren't digitized yet, but these ones are going to focus on, like, if your ancestor was in the Revolutionary War or the Spanish-American War or the Seminole Wars here in Florida. There are records that, when they muster, there's a record made of that. When they leave service, there's a record made of that. With the Seminole Wars here in Florida, there'd even be a record of land grants that they would have been given for their service. And so Sandy Rumble is an expert in military records, and her program is going to show you how to engage with those records. And then in particular, if you're, for example, if you're researching your father and he was a veteran, how do you engage with the Veterans Administration to get records that aren't public, so that you can add them to your family history as well.
And you can go through our Veterans office here in Polk County too.
You have a whole office for that here.
Joe and his boys over there do outstanding work for veterans.
Fantastic, yeah. So I'll have to make sure that Shannon includes their information at the end of the program for our local veterans. That's fantastic.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Anything else in July?
Not so much in July. So when we come into August, we have our August 7th is the meeting of the Historical Commission. And if you'll recall, the Historical Commission are the people who guide the things and the activities that we do at the History Center, but more importantly for our public, they host the Historic Marker Program. So if you're sitting out there in, Dundee, the lovely town of Dundee, which that side of the county is booming lately.
I know, I live there. All right.
You do. Have you been to Port 27 yet?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Pizza's incredible.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. But if you were to go out there and let's say, Dundee and Lake Hamilton, there's a lot of old historic homes. And there's a historic women's club. So if you're looking at these buildings and you're going, okay, somebody needs to document this building, that somebody's you. You can pick up the phone, give us a call and say, hey, I live across the street from a historic building that I think should be preserved. Either pictures should be taken of it, or records should be made of it, or I'm gonna help pay for a historic marker. That's how that process starts, is through the Historical Commission. And it is so cool to me because that is literally the way that the public, that your everyday Polk County resident can get involved with historic preservation.
Speaking of historic preservation, if you drive through Bartow, our old sheriff's office is almost complete. And the part that's taken the longest is the old jail.
That's right.
Tear down.
Yep.
Did you guys request maybe some of the bars from that?
We did not. You know, it's funny you bring that up. Murtis and I were talking about it the other day. There's something...
from a historical standpoint, I mean, that would be pretty cool.
You know a guy we could call?
I would talk to our facilities people. And because they're the ones that are running it, and say, hey, listen, we would like, I would start with that. Yeah. Because they're all sitting in a corner. It's all part of my tour.
There we go. So your walking tour. So actually bringing that up, facilities called us when they started the demolition process. They wanted to make sure that they had the historic timeline of the building and any pictures because they're documenting the whole process. So it'll be interesting to see. And I know that there are a lot of people that are very interested in the demolition of that building. A lot of people stop in to look.
All my friends that are now retired Leos send pictures, and they just, some of them are no longer even live here, and they're just, hey man, send me, where's it at now?
Yeah, what's the process? So I will have to get with them on that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I do want to give a shout out. We had our friends at Campfire come visit us at the end of last month to help me clean the grounds. So if you were driving around in Bartow, you might have seen me with a gaggle of little people in green shirts, and we were pulling Spanish moss from the azalea bushes.
Yeah.
I love Spanish moss when it's on the trees, but when it gets in our azalea bushes, it kind of chokes out the sunlight and stops my azaleas from blooming. So thank you, Campfire, for helping us clean up our grounds.
Do you know who loves Spanish moss?
Who?
Horses.
Oh.
It's a treat for them.
It's a treat.
Yeah, they love eating it.
I'll have to remember that next time. Save it up and take it to some horses.
Not a whole bunch, but it's
a little bit.
You don't
It's a
want a
treat.
steady diet. Yeah, like I said, a treat. Yep.
Oh, very nice. But yeah, other than that, we're looking forward to having little feet and big feet and all sorts of feet back in the building starting July 15th.
All right, dear. Well, always good to see you.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
And we will see you next month. And talk to our girl. Tell her she's got a 4-person fan club waiting. Patiently.
I won't tell her 4. I'll just omit that part. I'll just tell her fan club. Thank you, Brian.
We'll see you next month. Polk County has a rich history and heritage, and the Polk County History Center is continuously thinking of new ways to help Polk residents experience that history. The museum's collection includes natural and cultural objects related to Polk and the greater Central Florida area that represent our history from pre-Columbian to present-day eras. Located at 100 East Main Street in Bartow, History Center is open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Need more information on exhibits, events, or anything? Check them out, polkhistorycenter.org, or call them 863-534-4386. If you enjoyed that episode of Polk Place, I invite you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and even check out the next one.